Welcome everyone. It is Lemoore City Council regular session for November 6th, 2018. We just returned from closed session. We don't have anything to report out from closed session at this time. This time, let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready? Salute. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for the invocation by Pastor Aaron Ash.
If you'll permit me. Let everyone be subject to the governing authorities, for there is no authority except that which God has established. The authorities that exist have been established by God. Consequently, whoever rebels against the authority is rebelling against what God has instituted, and those who do so will bring judgment upon themselves. Whoever stands in these offices, may we support you, may we pray for you, and may we submit to the authority that God has placed upon you. Dear Heavenly Father, we are gathered here today, Father, Lord, and we thank you, Father, that you are here amongst us, Lord. We thank you for this opportunity. We thank you for this great land, for the United States of America that we live in, Father. We thank you for a place where we can vote for those who will govern us. But, Lord, we recognize that whoever is placed in a position is allowed by you, is placed there by you. So, Lord, today especially, Father, I pray for a special blessing upon not just the residents of Lemoore, but all of America and all of the world. We look to you for direction, for wisdom, for guidance, and blessing. We pray for your will to be done. And we pray these things in the mighty name of Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior. And all God's people said, Amen. Amen. Thank you.
Please be seated. At this time, Madam Clerk, will you please call the roll?
Councilmember Blair?
Present.
Councilmember Brown?
Here.
Councilmember Chittister?
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Nil?
Here.
Mayor Madrigal?
Here. Council, are there any, now's the time we would approve the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions that you would like to be made? Seeing none, we'll proceed with the agenda as it has been published. At this time, we are open for public comment. I do have some cards. So let's see. Connie Walashian, please come forward.
Good afternoon or good evening. I'm Connie Walashian. I live at 523 C Street in Lemoore. And I have some questions. I would like to know, what good is the censure if Ms. Blair still identifies as a council member, City of Lemoore, on Facebook and as a participant in a podcast, so especially Hopper in the Morning, and it was yesterday, 11:05. I would like to know if you guys can give us an answer in public. I know you can't answer it right now, but that's a question I would like answered. And what is the criteria for your closed session items? Is there some way that, I know you guys can't tell us what's going on, but how do you decide what is closed session and who the participants are? And I've also asked questions especially about the Voorhees property, and several questions, and I still don't have any answers. Do I need to be asked to be put on the agenda, to be asked, to be answered, those questions answered? And
Okay.
That's it.
Thank you. So first question about what we can discuss in closed session.
So the Brown Act specifically outlines what topics can be discussed in closed session. The code sections that are listed on the closed session agenda are the code sections that authorize those particular discussions, and it lists what can be discussed. Okay. And as far as who's present, if it's a litigation matter, obviously counsel has to be present. Right. Okay. And as to other items, the city council has the option to invite anyone they want into closed session.
Thank you.
Do you want to talk about Voorhees?
Yeah, I was going to give you an update on the Voorhees project during department reports, but I'll do it now.
Oh, okay.
So,
We can wait.
Mr. Voorhees has started work out there. He did not meet the timeline to get the incentives that were awarded him through the council, so those are no longer on the table. He is technically not compliant with the deal he cut to have the roads finished after multiple extensions. So if the city chose to, we could try to retain that property through the county RDA now. I don't know if that's something we want to do, because like I said, he is slowly building out there, so you're looking at another 9 parcels that should be available before long.
Well, would the property be revalued at the value of the property? Because 2 years ago it was what, 189, and in 2 years maybe it's gone up. So.
I don't know the answer to that, other than when the RDA set rates on the properties, they basically set that rate, and if you have a willing party that will pay that rate, that was set back, I believe, in 2011, it doesn't require state approval. State Department of Finance doesn't have to approve the sale. It can go through the county now.
Okay, so you could, so that's something that you're gonna look into, right?
If I'm directed to.
Oh, okay. All right. All right, thank you.
Miss Amy Ward?
Good evening. All right, so I just have 2 things today. Obviously, we are all aware December 1st we will be having our annual Christmas parade. We're very excited this year because we have a superhero theme, and a lot of the businesses in the local community are getting pretty excited about getting their costumes on and coming out and having a great time. We do invite city council and city staff to participate. In previous years, you guys have ridden with the fire department. We have a couple different options for you guys. So if you guys could let me know by the end of the week, if possible, if you will be participating, just so that we make sure that we have enough seats and everything is ready to go. We did get that request from the fire department. So if you guys could get that to me, I'd really appreciate it. And then I have very great news. We are bringing back the annual holiday stroll on December 8th from 3 to 7 p.m. And this is a partnership between the city and the Downtown Merchants Advisory Committee and the Chamber. Last year it did not happen, and there were a lot of people that were pretty disappointed, so I'm kind of excited to bring it back. And I did want to especially thank Michelle Spear. If it wasn't for Michelle being very proactive, it might not have happened again this year. So I think this is just another testament to the partnerships that we are creating. So I do invite you all to attend. Come out, check it out. Let's support this holiday event, and let's make sure that it doesn't go to the wayside again. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Tom Reed?
Tom Reed, 1060 Parr Avenue, Mayor, council members. Most council meetings, it seems, has at least one council member expressing the desire to have new sources of revenue, namely someone like a Walmart or a Denny's to choose Lemoore as a site for expansion. However, those companies to choose Lemoore, there has to be adequate consumer traffic to fit their marketing plan. The tactic should therefore be, how do we increase such traffic? The Wave Ranch is one such business, but this is a private endeavor outside the city limits. Here's an idea. Why not party with West Hills College Lemoore to bring in entertainment such as concerts to the Golden Eagle Arena? I know the college has expressed no interest in such activities. The arena was built with tax money from you, me, and other Lemoore property owners. I recently received my tax bill, and upon examination, there were 7 bond issues for West Hills College Lemoore. Unless we can convince the college that we both will benefit, how can we expect corporations from outside this area to invest in Lemoore? The city has supported them and continues to support them. It is now time for the college to support the city. If they choose to not support Lemoore, I may choose to not support them for future bond issues. And we must find a way for this council to avoid negative incidents, both by and directed to and about council members. Such incidents will certainly throw up alarm signals to outside enterprise. While I was unable to attend the previous council meeting, I was sadly disappointed that a resident sent a letter to be read expressing a sad action by one of our council members. Councilmember Blair, you have many times made comments about being transparent and about being accepting of views from others. It seems you are extremely intolerant of someone participating in an activity with which you disagree. I realize the success of that activity could result in you being removed from your position as a Lemoore City Council member. How about being transparent? Did you in fact make such derogatory comments to one of your constituents? There are issues facing this city and staff that requires the best from each of you. In the Bible, 1 Corinthians 13:11 says, "When I was a child, I spoke as a child. I understood as a child. I thought as a child. But when I became an adult, I put away childish things." It's time to grow up and do what we need you to do. Thank you.
Thank you. Linda Lahadny.
Good evening, council members. I really have no voice at all tonight. And the reason why I don't have a voice is because I've been camping with the Lemoore RV Club,
Right.
and I have spent too much time laughing. So I'm actually here. Our RV Club is currently over in, where is it, Leo? Kingsburg. Royal Oak RV Park. And I'm speaking on their behalf here, because I was coming to the meeting anyway because of my mural item. But they asked me to speak on behalf of the group, and thank you for sponsoring the Lemoore RV Club through the rec department. It is a great group of people. It's open to anybody, but somehow it ends up being just old people like me. But it's a great group of people. We have so much fun, and new friendships and enhanced quality of life, which is what the rec department, that's their mission. And we just want to say thank you. We have a blast, and I'm sorry I have no voice. It all happens around the campfire somehow. I don't know. Anyway, thank you.
Okay, let's see, Emmanuel Lopez Mendoza.
Good afternoon, Council. Just to introduce myself to the people that weren't here, I'm the Associate Student Government Ambassador. I'm also the co-chair for Student Senate, and I'm also the delegate for Student Senate of California, Community Colleges, California. So I just came back from voting last week for new laws to be presented to the legislators in the state. I just wanted to present some events that we're going to have for the community. We have Food Day, the 19th. From 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Gladly, last month we gave out 4,000 pounds of food for the third time in a row. Also, this Saturday, we have the FAFSA/DREAM Act application event from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. at the college. It's important for college students to get their FAFSA done in time because it's very important to get money to attend college and to help you buy books as well, because books are very expensive. Also, just to clear things up, we are willing to work with the community to hold events at West Coast College. Also, one way is to go to our meetings. We have a meeting on Thursday at 6 in the ASB room, so it's open to the public. Community members can come and discuss if they want to host events. Also, we are willing to work with anybody that wants to host events. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Jennifer Butts.
My name is Jennifer Butts, and I wanted to introduce myself as a new local mural artist. You may have an image in front of you with a tan background. That it's a sketch that's being proposed and has already been agreed on with the Oddfellow group. The wall is a tan wall, and we're using shadows and trying to make it look like a three-dimensional image. It'll be a 6-foot by 33-foot mural. The Oddfellow group is already in process to send the application, or to fill out the application, and then that will be sent to you guys soon. So I just wanted to give you a heads up that that is going to be put before you for approval soon. Did you guys have any questions on me or the mural?
Looks good.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. I don't have any other cards, but is there anyone else who would like to speak? Public comment.
I received this via email. It was asked to be read into the record. I currently work for the City of Hanford. As a professional person, I was shocked to see Facebook posts from your council member, Holly Blair. They are very unprofessional and sometimes outright disgusting. I have blocked her entirely, as I do not want to see anything she has to say. Therefore, it is not directly affecting me. But it is concerning that this person is representing your city with foul language and offensive posts. Please realize that this gives a bad impression for your entire city. I have no idea how you would be able to handle the situation. I only wanted to bring it to your attention in a respectful way. Many others feel the same as myself. Thank you for your time. Respectfully, Victoria Arias.
Kristen Curcio, resident. Little emotional, but something I wanted to say. So Dr. Phil this week spoke to a lady about cryptic pregnancy and what it means. She swears on an oath that she's been pregnant for more than 3 years and 7 months and believes she was pregnant by 100% and stated no one will tell her differently. The professionals, the doctors, the subject matters, the talk show hosts, everyone that was trying to show her that what she believes was not true, she refused. Dr. Phil told her it's called confirmation bias. Miss Blair, you fit the bill. Confirmation bias occurs when the direct influence of desire on beliefs. When people would like a certain idea or concept to be true, they end up believing it to be true. They are motivated by wishful thinking. This error leads the individual to stop gathering information when the evidence gathered so far confirms the views prejudice one would like to be true. Goes on to read, this is Psychology Today. People may ultimately come to believe the weight of evidence supports a position that they already wanted to believe was true. And they will believe this without recognizing that their own desires influences evolution of evidence. This is 100% you, Miss Blair. Please, anyone listening to me, find us on social media and the disgrace this council member is bringing to our city. March of 2018 was my first meeting since you were voted in, Ms. Blair. The day I stated to you that you needed to be recalled or a complaint with the FPPC should be filed due to your unethical government practices and your violation of the Brown Act. I didn't know your voting record, nor do I care. You are 1 of 5. You are a majority. That's the only thing that matters. Your one vote means nothing. It's a no vote. Oh, my light came on, sorry. You don't have the support of others. Since March, I've attended many meetings just to watch you act like a fool on social media, call people hideous names, embarrass yourself in the city, plus put out false information. You are a disgrace to all women. You do not represent the facts and the truth, and this is the way that we problem solve is with facts and truth. It's a disgraceful fact for all women that you think that these lies are believable by anyone who is educated and has any common sense. You ramble online, you ramble in interviews, you ramble when people try to talk to you. Recall Blair 2018 and restore Lemoore to a time when our government was functional, not dysfunctional. It's our constitutional rights and our due process for the city and the state government, nothing more, nothing less, nothing racist.
Is there anyone else? Okay, seeing none, we'll move to ceremonial presentation, Lemoore Police Department, Explorer Recognition, Chief Smith.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. The most awesome part of my job is when I get the opportunity to recognize the youth in our community, and especially if the youth in our community happen to be part of the Lemoore Police Department Explorer program. So tonight I want to recognize their recent efforts at the Central Coast Explorer competition. I brought some advisors with me who would like to talk specifically about how they brought home all of that hardware over there that we're really proud of. I'm extremely proud of them, and I'd like to bring them up here now along with my advisors if I could take a couple minutes of your time. And I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Lucio, who happens to be a member of that RV club. Right? And he brags about it all the time, tries to get me to become a member as well. In a couple years, I'll probably join him. But I'd also like to say that 5 years ago when I came to the city of Lemoore, I gave Sergeant Lucio the responsibility to take the Explorer program to a new level. And I actually gave him numbers that I expected the program to be at a certain point. He met the expectations and then exceeded them. Our advisors work tremendously, long hours, and they are so dedicated and committed to these young men and women who are equally dedicated and committed to the program. You will see the passion that all of the advisors and these kids have for this program tonight when they talk about that. And I'd also like to say that Kayla Krug's here tonight, and she was an Explorer in our program, and she's now a Lemoore police officer. So that's pretty cool when you enter a program and you see that hard work and dedication will someday pay off to actually wear the badge for the community that you love, and that's pretty special. So I'm going to turn it over to Corporal Pescatore and Sergeant Lucio, and Sergeant Lucio and we have a friendly wager. We have No Shave November going on. So he'll probably get the best beard, but he'll probably get the whitest beard as well. So I'm sure you'll concede to that right now, Oscar, right? So come on up, guys. I won't make you guys make a speech, I promise. Come on up front. Let the audience see.
Big room, guys. Thank you, Chief Smith. I'm Sergeant Lucio with the Police Department, and as Chief Smith has said, I am an advisor for the Explorer program for the last 5 years. We recently attended the Central Coast Explorer competition in San Miguel, just north of Paso Robles, and I would really like to thank the council and the city for supporting us. This is our 6th or 7th competition. We've been before you before with 3, 4, 5 trophies, and this time there was 8 teams to increase competition. Every post divided up into 2 teams, like a red team and a blue team. So we actually had 16 teams competing. What that did is it made sure that every Explorer competed in every event. We might have had 1 or 2 extra couple. So every Explorer competed in every event. Scenario-based events such as vehicle search, DUI stop, building search, domestic violence response, and then we had athletic events, tug-of-war, obstacle course, academic events, written test, oral interviews, and one of our Explorers actually won a scholarship. Elisa Chavez won a scholarship. So it's a good weekend. We appreciate your support. The Explorer Post is for the youth 14 to 21 years old. It helps them get a understanding of what police work is like. It builds character. It builds community service. They help around the city during community events, parades, runs, festivals, and so every time you guys see them out there, remember that they're part of our Explorer program. It also builds leadership skills, and they don't know this, but it's also going to help with their public speaking. Because what I want you to do, let's see if you guys can pay attention and follow instructions. Introduce yourself, tell them how long you've been with the Explorer Post, and read the award that you're holding. Okay.
And this is 3rd place for crime scene investigation.
My name is Lemoore. I've been with the Explorer program for about 3 months, and this is 5th place for building search.
My name is Nicholas Valentino. I've been with the Explorer program for about 2 months now, and I'm
years now, and this trophy is first place in crime scene investigation. I'm Vince Pescatore, and I've been with the post for about a year and a half. I'm holding first place for nighttime traffic stop.
My name is Adrian Laviza, and I've been with the Explorer Post for 8 months now, and I'm holding the third place 5-person total board.
My name is Ala Luis. I've been with the Explorer Post for about 2 years. I am winning a trophy for first place for shooting skills.
My name is Lisa Chavez, and I've been with the Explorer Post for about a year now, and I'm holding second place for domestic violence and second place for the obstacle course email.
My name is Anna Knight, and I've been with the coach for about 6 months, and I'm holding second place for golden search.
My name is Marilena Reyes, and I've been with the police department for about 3 years now, and I'm holding the second place for 10-person tug of war and first place for felony traffic stop.
My name is Jessica Padilla, and I've been with the post for 6 months, and I'm holding second place for the relay race.
So we brought home a lot of hardware, and I appreciate their dedication, and again, I appreciate the city's support. And you guys are making good citizens out of these kids. Appreciate it. Anything else?
Stay up here.
So some of you guys may know this, some of you may not. Sergeant Lucio has given over 30 years of service to the city, this being his final year of service. The last 5 being with the Explorer Post as the coordinator. It's a very difficult job. It's in conjunction to other things that he does, patrol sergeant, things of that nature. He's responsible for all the paperwork, all the work with Boy Scouts, registering the kids for the post. He follows up with them on their scholarship applications. So the kids and the advisors got together, and Sarge, for you, we have a shadow box for appreciation of your service to the post for the last 5 years.
I apologize to you, young men and women. I told you you didn't have to give a speech, but Sergeant Lucio, you got to blame him. Yeah. It's okay to smile too. You guys look like you're going to the dentist. There you go. Thank you guys. Very proud of you. Please give another round of applause. Thank you.
Good job, guys. Way to go. Hey, tonight might be late. Good job. Okay, we'll move on to our next item, which is department and city manager reports.
Hey, good evening, Mayor and council members. First up tonight is Jason Glick.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. A couple events we have this weekend. On Saturday, we have the Veterans Day 5K run, 3K walk. The event starts at Lions Park. We're registering right now, and we'll register on site on Saturday morning. And Sunday, we have the Veterans Day Parade. It starts at 6 o'clock in downtown Lemoore. Thank you.
Frank Rivera.
Good evening, Mayor, members of the City Council. I just have a brief update on our water treatment project. Tomorrow will be day 2 of our design camp. We'll be looking at flow diagrams that we talked about at the last design camp, going over models, and then on Thursday we'll be going over budget costs and project forecasting. So just want to update you on that.
Thanks, Frank. Then I have a couple things, again, Mayor and council members. So first off, we installed the equipment to track speed and traffic adjacent to the basketball courts out at Peterson Park. On Bellhaven, there's been some concerns from residents of cars too fast through that area where the park's located, so we'll be looking at counts there and potentially be looking at adding a speed bump in that area. There's 2 crosswalks that are in need of some work, so they're both on 18th. One at the far north end of town up by Deodore has one of the flashing signals out on it, so we're getting quotes to that. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll have that one taken care of, and then we're looking to add an additional lighted crosswalk right there just south of me and Ed's on 18th Avenue. Not a crosswalk's in there now, but it's not a very visible crosswalk, so we're looking at doing some improvements on those 2 intersections. And then lastly, we had a request today from one of our bargaining units, the gas bargaining unit, and they want to bring, or they're bringing to the city for the employees this go around, a cornhole event. It's a fundraiser that's going to be held Sunday, December 2nd. It'll be 2-man teams and double elimination tournament. It'll be a $10 entry fee, and that $10, the gas will be donating to the Parks and Rec for the youth programs to help those children that need a little bit of help. And then the other additional thing is they're asking everybody to bring an unwrapped child's toy, and they intend to giving that to the Lemoore PD to use for presence on patrol and reason for the season if they can use those. So like that, because it was from the ground up, it was from the individuals wanting to get more active and get more city activity and group together. So stuff that used to take place quite commonly, I understand, in the city. So we're looking forward to that. And I want to thank Frank and Irene for taking the lead on that. Appreciate it. That's it. Thank you.
Okay, we'll go ahead and move on to our consent calendar, section 3. We have 6 items. Council, is there any items that you wish to have moved from the consent calendar for further discussion?
I'd like to please pull item 3-6 for a separate vote, please.
Okay, 3-6. Any others? No?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent calendar excluding 3-6.
Second. Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Chedister and a second by Mr. Neal to approve consent calendar 3-1, 3-2, 3-3, 3-4, and 3-5. Mr. Chedister.
Aye.
Mr. Neal.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Those items are passed. At this time, we'll go ahead and hear item 3-6, which is approval, denial of claim for Mr. Jeff Fabry. Who's presenting? Who had this one?
I don't need discussion. I just wanted a separate vote. So.
Yeah, Council, if there's, the item is in the packet, unless you want discussion or there's public comment, then you can go ahead and take a separate vote.
Okay, is there any public comment on this item? Seeing none, we'll go ahead and bring it back to council for discussion or vote. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve denial of claim for Mr. Jeffrey Fabry.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Motion by Mr. Brown and a second by Mr. Chedister to approve the denial of claim for Mr. Jeff Fabry. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chedister?
Aye.
Mr. Neal?
No.
Ms. Blair?
No.
And I vote aye. Motion is passed. So we will now move to item 4-1, which is a public hearing. It's General Plan Amendment number 2017-01, Zone Change number 2017-01, and Site Plan Review 1603. It's a request by CB Housing, LLC, Agent Brett Fugman, to change the general plan land use designations and zoning from mixed use and neighborhood commercial to medium density residential and neighborhood commercial, and to approve a site plan for a 176 unit multi-family apartment complex located at the southeast corner of Highway 41 and Hanford-Armona Road. It's APN 021-660-031. It's Resolution 2018-46 and Ordinance 2018-08. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council members. As you just stated, this is an item to approve a new apartment complex for the city. It's would be located at the southeast corner of Highway 41 and Hanford-Armona Road. It would be a multifamily apartment complex totaling 176 units and would be built in 2 phases. The project would include a community center, a pool, 5 separate play areas for children. It has the required parking that the city requires for this size of a development. It has all of the meets all the landscaping requirements for the site, and so in reviewing the site plan, the staff is recommending that the council approve the site plan because it meets all of the standards that the city has for development of the site. I'll show you. There's, again, is the location there at the corner of Hanford and Luna Road and Highway 41. And there again is the total project site. The northern, roughly 4.5 acres of the site, which would be like maybe the north 1/3 of the site, would be rezoned to neighborhood commercial and would not be developed at this time. This will be the southern 2/3 that would hold the multifamily housing. As I said, the commercial portion is not being approved at this time, but the zoning is in place so that the developer could come back in the future for a request for commercial development. This shows the site plan and shows how phase 1 and phase 2 would be the multifamily apartment complex. There would be a main entrance here from Hanford and Mona Road. In this map, north is to the right. So there would be a main entrance here, a driveway, and then a gate to enter the complex here. There would also be an entrance here on the south side with a gate to go in and out as well. So there'll be two ways to get in and out of the site, circulation throughout the site, and then there was the pedestrian gate right about here so that the residents could easily get to the future commercial site when it's built. So again, to approve the project, the council would need to approve a general plan amendment and a zone change. The site does have commercial and mixed use zoning on it right now, but it's not in quite the configuration that the developer needs to get the project the way that they would like to propose it. In looking at that, staff noted that what we did is we looked at the general plan policies and also the housing element policies. We noted that the housing element assumed that there'd be about 76 units approved on this site, so having 176 would put us ahead in terms of meeting our housing element goals, and keeping the neighborhood commercial on site, I think, is still.
So that's consistent, if I may. That's consistent on rooftops.
That would be 176 housing units, apartment units.
Okay, and if I may, you guys want to rezone it? Who's asking to rezone it?
The developer is requesting the rezone.
For not commercial?
No, the currently here. Let me move to this. Give me a second. I'll put a map and I'll come back to that real quick. So this again shows a rendering of the apartment complexes and what that would look like. There would be covered parking as well as some uncovered parking. And the city prepared a mitigated negative declaration under the CEQA requirements for the California Environmental Quality Act. The CEQA review included a traffic study and an air impact assessment, and those studies determined that there would not be significant impacts from the project related to traffic or air with the mitigations in place. One of the specific mitigations I wanted to point out was that the Santa Rosa Rancheria requested consultation on the site to monitor the site during grading prior to construction, And so that is one of the mitigations that we placed on the project, that the developer work with the tribe to have someone on site to monitor the grading of the site in case anything is discovered.
So traffic in the site, did you guys take consideration the traffic that's going through Hanford-Armona Road and then 198?
Yes.
I mean 41, excuse me, not
Yes,
198.
what the traffic impact study does is it estimates the traffic that's happening right now. It estimates what the traffic would be when the project is operational, which we're estimating would be a year or two from now. And then it also estimates what the traffic would be in the year, I think we did 2025, maybe 2030, so that we could see the impacts of all other developments that might be happening around there. And the result was that if the developer widens Hanford-Armona Road, or their portion, which they are proposing to do, then there are no traffic impacts.
That's what I was going, okay.
This map shows, the left map is the before map for the general plan, and the right map would be the after map. So you can see, this is the site here. So the red is neighborhood commercial, the purple is mixed use, and so the change would reduce the neighborhood commercial slightly, and change the mixed use to medium density or residential, which would be similar to the apartment complex that is just south of it there. The area right here wasn't originally planned or zoned because the general plan anticipated a future interchange there. We have been talking to Caltrans as we've been working on this project. We've been working with the developer on this project for close to 2 years, maybe a little over 2 years, and been met with Caltrans a number of times about this issue. They did submit a letter requesting that the city reserve this space instead of allowing the development in this configuration so that a future interchange could be built. Now, in order to do that, the city would have to pay the developer for that land and actually purchase the land. We didn't believe that the city had the ability to pay for that at this time, and in looking at the projections, we think that an interchange is probably 40 years away, and so so what we're recommending is that not happen at this time, and that there may be other ways of getting an interchange built 40 years from now. Maybe there's new configurations that wouldn't need that land. So we are recommending that you approve the general plan amendment and zone change, which would change the land use designations and zoning, and also approve the site plan. That would be done through the resolution and the ordinance that's attached in your packet. And then if those are approved, the ordinance would come back for a second reading at the next meeting. I'm happy to answer any other questions you have.
How much acres is that going to take up?
Let me see.
16.
I think it's 16 total, roughly 10.7 acres for the multifamily and 4.6 for the future neighborhood commercial.
So how much land is out there? How much land is out there, if I may ask that question? Do you know? Do you have any recollections of that?
Is
it pretty open out? Like, if a business wanted to come in there, could they come in there as well?
For the neighborhood commercial?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, the site plan conceptually shows that there's enough land on the site for a hotel, gas station, number of residential. So 4.5 acres is a good site for a neighborhood commercial site. Good size site.
Okay, thank you.
You know, that's awesome. That's actually part of the question I had, is I saw that phase 3 mentions a potential hotel, or designated it could be. And I'm just curious if you know a timeline for if that were to be part of that plan.
We don't have a timeline right now. I know the developer has said they're marketing the site, but we will see what kind of interest there is. And it may come back in a different configuration than this was shown. This was shown mainly to give us an idea of how much could fit on the site, because we wanted to be able to see that and then also use that to be able to evaluate the potential impacts.
And were these the developers' phases? Because there's 3 phases. Was that the developer
Yes.
planning out this? Okay, thank you.
And the planning commission did approve this.
Yes, sorry, I failed to mention that. The Planning Commission held a public hearing on October 8th, and they recommended approval of the project.
Any other questions?
Make a
So,
motion to.
It is a public hearing, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Anyone that would like to speak on this matter?
I do.
Okay.
So we're talking about the little corner that sits right in front of College Park. That's the corner that sits, that's 41 in Hamford Monroe, that little tiny, that spot of land. And you're talking about apartment complexes, houses, and a hotel. That happens to be one of the most dangerous intersections that we have. How could you even think about making that any more congested and dangerous than it already is? A hotel? And that's already been approved? I think we got to find a way to communicate a little bit more when it comes to stuff like that, because I don't think any of us in College Park, District B, know that that's the plan.
Good. Steve, can you talk about the traffic plan a little bit more? There was a traffic study done on this.
Good question.
And many entities were brought into it, I think. Kings County, Caltrans, if I remember reading it correctly.
Yeah, the traffic study focused on the Hanford-Armona Road and 41 intersection, as well as Hanford-Armona Road and 19th. And we looked at the existing traffic counts and then added in what the traffic would be projected from this project. And then again, as I said, looked at what would the general plan build out be for this area. So in each case, we did not go over the threshold of significance to make it a significant effect. It does. The report does say the traffic has heavy traffic there, but the project will improve and widen the south side of Hanford-Armona Road all the way to the intersection.
So it's going to take it from a 2-lane to a 4-lane.
It may not take it to. It'll take it from 2 lanes eastbound, and will probably stay 1 lane westbound, because only the south side is going to be widened.
Okay.
And just for clarification, this is basically an amendment to our general plan that essentially changes from a medium-density residential, is where we are zoned currently, to simply changing the zone plan from medium-density commercial to neighborhood commercial. And these are just some configurations of possibilities, but they're not set in order.
Yes, it is.
I just wanted clarification of what this is what we're reading.
Hold on.
Okay.
I have a question.
Let me make sure I get it right. So we're
Answering the question.
So right now, forward again here. Right now, the site has a mixed use designation here and a neighborhood commercial designation here. So the change would be to change the mixed use to medium density residential and move the line a little bit north, and then the remaining part would remain neighborhood commercial. So the mixed use designation currently allows both residential and commercial uses. But in looking at what the developer wanted to do, the staff believed that the best way to accomplish what they wanted to do would be to make this zone change and make the zone change part of this development package.
But these are just configurations of
So it's just
potential. They're not like set in stone for sure. That's what's going to happen.
The multifamily apartment complex is being proposed for you right now for approval. The neighborhood commercial portion is conceptual and would need to come back once they have a specific plan.
Okay, so it's still a public hearing.
Yes.
We have some other people that want to speak.
So let me get this right. He's only going to move the line back slightly. Either way, there's no speed control in that intersection as it is. There's no signal light, no stop sign, no speed bump, or anything. There's a school right down the street from that intersection. You're going to put apartment complexes where there's going to be more children, another housing residential area, more children. Eventually, they'll end up going to that school. Who's looking out for them? You got that road right there, that piece of road right there, just as you pass it, turns to 35. But before that, it's 40 miles an hour. So you're going to tell me that that's going to be safe for those children to cross the street? I don't think so.
Good evening, Terry King, Director of the Kings County Association of Governments, or KCAG, and we're the agency responsible for programming state highway projects. And I just wanted to stress the importance of preserving the footprint for the future interchange at 41 and Hanford-Ramona Road. The way interchanges are funded, or transportation projects are funded, is not by Caltrans doesn't go out and just buy land and go build a project. They're done by our agency, by us as a region, with the funds that are available to us. And interchanges are considered a local project, which means we have to fund them. And we fund these types of projects through the State Transportation Improvement Program. And we receive funds that are available to us every 2 years to program toward projects. And they're programmed in 4 different phases. The first phase is project approval and environmental document. The next phase is planning specs and design. And then you do the right-of-way and then construction. And you have to fully fund those each phase before you can actually move on to the next. Our regional shares in a good step cycle, what we call the State Transportation Improvement Program, could be maybe $5 million. So an interchange might cost, in today's dollars, $45 million. So it takes a long time to get there. But I wanted to stress the importance of preserving the footprint for that interchange. Even if you can find the money now, it's a lot cheaper than, let's say, a hotel is built there. I'm not saying it's going to be there. But that would be cost prohibitive to try and build an interchange there at that point. And so you would have to live with any traffic, and Caltrans may have concerns, as you saw in their letter, in their comment letters. So again, if there's any way to preserve that footprint, any way, like when the site is developed, something that could be a throwaway, like a parking lot or something, just preserve that footprint for the future interchange to save money and make our money go farther toward other projects.
Tom Reed, 1060 Park Avenue, Lemoore. A question I have is that the traffic exiting the project there onto Hanford-Ramona Road, I'm sure a number of them will be wanting to make a left-hand turn, which is going to be across traffic. And I see that as a real problem safety-wise if there's no traffic signal or something there. Also, Ms. Blair, since you chose to interject during the public hearing time, I hope you don't mind if the public chooses to interject during the council reports and request time. Thank you.
Fine.
Go ahead.
I don't have time for speeches tonight. I'm just gonna get straight to the point so I can get off this leg. To me, I hear a bunch of double talk. Are you choosing safety or money? Safety meaning children, employees, employers trying to get to work, to and from work. Yes, we want to build the city of Lemoore, but at what cost? Like Ms. Curcio just said, that is a high-speed, very dangerous area. I don't care what kind of pretty picture you put over here for me to see. I look at the bottom line. I see the choice of safety or danger. Are you going to choose safety over money for the city? And when you look further down the road to see, well, by choosing the money, now we have an incident. We could have prevented this problem a long time ago if we would have taken the safety over the money.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I just have one more. Sorry. How many people have been killed in that intersection this year? How many people have been killed in that intersection? So you're talking about all that traffic. The base is trying to grow. We're trying to get more active duty. You got squadrons coming in. If they can't make that turn to get into their house, which, like she said, there's only one entrance coming into that area in College Park that's going to back up very quickly. So then they're going to go to the West Hills because that's the next intersection that they have to get off the highway. We got problems at that intersection. So those are the things that need to seriously be considered before something like this, when you're talking commercial industry, needs to be taken care of.
Thank you.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. I'm Brett Fugman with CV Housing. We're proposing this project. We've been working on it for over 2 years. We've gone through some painstakingly long traffic studies to study that intersection because it is a very serious intersection. We don't take it lightly. So we will be widening the road. We'll be creating bike lanes. We'll be creating bus stops areas. We're going to be creating decel lanes to make the right turn into the project. We've done all the vision cone studies to make sure people have the ability to make sure they can see traffic coming in and out. The first phase will be 96 units with a community center. We plan to be successful. All our market studies say that the city can use this type of product. So we would hope to move into the second phase. At this point, we don't know what happens with the commercial. So it could be a number of different things. Could end up being a neighborhood shopping center, could be a hotel. We've had a lot of people come to us and ask about a hotel. That'll all have to be restudied, re-examined. But the traffic study that we did studied the entire project, the entire 16 acres, to create a safe environment for the whole entire project with what's existing today and then what we will be building. We're excited about the project. It's going to be a high-quality project, open market, and we hope to have your support. I'll take any questions. My architect's here with us, Brian Sassano with SIM PBK. If you have any architectural questions or anything you'd like to talk about, we'd be happy to do that.
I have a question. On the people leaving the proposed area heading north and wanting to turn west, is there going to be a stoplight, stop sign, crosswalks?
During the first phase, there's a proposed stop sign. The traffic study didn't warrant getting to a traffic light until we got to phase 3 with a potential commercial.
Stop sign where? Where? On Hanford or Monroe Road?
Yes.
Shows where?
On Hanford or Monroe Road coming off 198?
Like 1,000 feet
coming off 41?
Yeah.
Where's the traffic study?
When you get to that,
Be like a quarter of a mile before you get to 41.
yeah.
So the residents exiting
You're talking about
The
going this way?
apartment complex would have to stop here at a stop sign
here
before
this
they,
intersection for phase one.
yeah, before they enter Hanford
What
Road.
is here? When you say here?
The residences exiting the apartment complex would go north on this driveway and stop before they entered Hanford Armona Road, either turning left or right. The traffic would remain through on Hanford Armona Road. It would be a one-way stop.
Steve, just pointed Highway 41 to the audience.
This is Highway 41 here. This is Hanford Armona Road.
The concern is the left-hand turn on the 41, on the Hampton Road. The majority of the people that are going to be living there are going to go to the college or the airbase, so they're going to have to make a left-hand turn. And in the fall, how are the people coming off of the 41 going east into town? You're going to see them, because they're going to be accelerating to get into town.
Sir, if you want to, we're doing our public hearing. If you'd like to speak, you can come forward, please.
Dr. Jackson raised her hand.
You'll have to get up.
Can you?
You can speak from there.
Okay, you're saying that you're coming out here to Hanford Armona. You're gonna take a left to head to the 41, correct? Now, if you continue, at the end where you said Hanford Armona Road and you're saying go left, if you go right and you head into town, there's a new housing project that's going up there. That's also gonna be creating new traffic. That's also going with those apartments. All that new traffic is gonna be hitting the same avenue that you're talking about. Are you still saying that's safe?
Yes.
Show me.
Well, I'm not. Would you like me to respond?
Yeah, please.
I'm not saying it's safe. The traffic impact study is saying that there is no significant impact. The traffic impact study included the Lemoore project in its study because it's an approved project.
Mm-hmm.
So that traffic was also included in the study. I want to make something clear because the chief brought up something. There is no direct access to this project from Highway 41. Highway 41 is Highway 41. So there is
The
no
only entrance is off of
no
Hanford Armona Road.
entrances, no exits to Highway 41. Everything is either from this entrance on Hanford Armona Road or from this entrance
Dogwood.
here, which is what is it? Persimmon.
Persimmon and Dogwood, yep.
Yes.
So what's the next intersection to the east of that where you guys were pointing the exit outside of, coming out of the development? What's the next intersection? Is that Avalon?
To the east would be 19th.
19th.
The 19th. Or, I'm sorry, Apricot.
Pistache. It's Pistache. It's Pistache. I'm sorry, no, it's Apricot. And then it's Pistache. So from this proposed drive,
So the people that are
It's a
currently
city block.
turning left onto Hanford Armona Road from those streets would have the same situation that this site would have. They need to wait for traffic and then they turn left onto the road.
So you're saying,
finish
what
public
you're
comment.
saying.
Okay, let's, hold on. Let's finish our public comment. So if you want to speak, go ahead, Ms. Jackson.
So, what I'm understanding here is you're hoping by the system of, okay, you wait and then I go and I wait and you go, it's gonna work on this highly, because see, people start, where you're talking about that housing area, see, people start accelerating, around 19, heading towards the 41. They see that traffic light right down there at the end. I've seen it happen a million times. So they're trying to speed up so that they can get to that intersection before that light changes. You're sitting right there with the stop sign. Do you really think you stop and let me go, that is going to continue to happen when all I'm saying is You have an apartment complex you're trying to put here, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and there's a new housing area being built not more than 5 miles away from that area. Your traffic studies doesn't include all of this, does it?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, is there anyone else that wants to speak?
Sorry, just one more comment and a question. In the traffic impact study, it talked about the level of service for the cumulative 2040 plus project. And the level of service appears to be level of service F and D's, which are very poor. But then it assumes an interchange there in 2040, and then the level of service goes up to A, which is great. But if there's no interchange there, what happens? So I don't know if I'm reading this traffic study correctly or not, but if there isn't, if you can't build an interchange there, what happens then?
Can you please repeat that last part? You said you can't build an interchange, and I didn't hear the last part.
As I mentioned before about preserving the footprint to build a future interchange there, the traffic impact study shows a poor level of service. But it also shows with an interchange, it's the level of service A, which is the highest level of service. But if you can't build an interchange there, what happens then? What happens with the level of service?
Is that interchange for like, I mean, I know you deal a lot with this. Is that for like roundabout type of thing? Is that diverging diamond? What are you talking about in that type of?
If you, in your general plan, there's a kind of a sample design that was worked out in the general plan.
Right.
So it's kind of a partial, it's a half. I can't
But there's other
describe.
designs that could come in there though. Is that a correct statement?
It's difficult to, because you can only put an interchange on the south side of Hanford Motor Road because of the public facility there, the gas line.
All that gas lines.
Right, right. I just want to make sure.
So you're limited into the scope
Yeah,
of
that
the
high
design.
pressure
I'm not
gas
an
line.
engineer,
I got you.
But, so you're limited in what you can
Right.
design there, and that's up to Caltrans to approve the design. And so,
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else?
Patricia Gates, resident of West Pearlwood. Something that I think you guys have said a lot is to bring businesses in, that we need more people, more traffic. And I know that I understand people's concern. I drive that multiple times a day. But we also need to be thinking as well, there's not a lot of places to develop in Lemoore. And I mean, we want stuff to come in, we need more people here. Where is that gonna happen? Is that a dangerous intersection? Absolutely, I agree. But it's not the only road to use in Lemoore. I know we're used to being able to just go down, we don't have very many roads, so just go down a road and boom, you're there. But if you think that that intersection is so dangerous, why are you using it even now? I know when my daughter starts driving, she goes to school out that way. She's not going to use that intersection because of the danger. I think what they're proposing may help some, my own personal opinion. I don't think it'll fix it, but to just be so negative from the get-go, I'm just asking that maybe people have a little bit more of an open mind, or maybe have other, if you have another suggestion. Like I said, we need the people for traffic, for businesses, which everyone has said that they want. There's other ways that you can get everywhere in Lemoore, and it doesn't really take very long to get anywhere. So if that goes in, maybe we can use other ways to get places and make it happen to grow our city and bring more businesses, more people. I don't know, it's just my suggestion as a resident.
Thank you. Anybody else? Okay, close the public hearing. Bring it back to council for discussion.
Yes, I'm gonna go ahead and revisit this. Mrs. Jackson, I heard you had said it's about, you were saying you was just taking a head guess on 5 miles from the next place that they're building out there, that are industrial, what they're building. It's about a mile and a half, if that. It's that close. It's not, you gave it justice. Another thing is, it's not so much that we're negative, it's we want to be safe, not just for us, for our kids. It's a lot of our kids don't go to Fresno State, but they go to West Hill still, you know, and you said yours too. And I know coming back from Fresno, because I go to Fresno often, and coming back, that is a dangerous place. But I'm not here to try to stunt the city of Lemoore. That's not what I'm here for. If it's going to grow, because they holler we need rooftops before we can bring anything else in, but we got to be safe as well. So right now I'm in limbo of knowing what should we do. Should we bring that in? Now I remember us talking about before 2 years came around, we was talking about it'd be good if we had a restaurant right there on that corner. Okay? I'm just saying everybody have their own perception, their own agenda, how we want to do it, but we got to think for the city of Lemoore. What's going to benefit the city of Lemoore? What are the people crying for more than anything? And that's where I'm at right now. Thank you.
I have a question, if I may. And I don't know if because I know we have it here before us today. I'll hold that thought for a moment. Traffic softening on the Hanford-Armoni. I mean, can you explain to us what you're doing, what type of concepts are, if any, that you're doing on the Hanford-Armona Road to slow down, soften the traffic, so where people will be more guided into ways of traffic instead of just jamming in there, kind of like what they're doing now. I mean, is there? I mean, because I know the speed limit right through there right now is 45 miles an hour, I believe it is.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, are we looking at decreasing that speed limit there to 35 all the way through to HA to 41 back? You know, lighted crosswalks for the kids, because that kind of like what we chatted about before on the other project. Those kind of things. Do you have any? And I know we're getting kind of more detail in it here, but my thing is maybe if that's the case, I know the planning commission's already approved it, but I mean, if we need to discuss it more, I mean, talk to the city attorney, find out what other avenues we can do to discuss it more. Can you expound on that? I mean, I know that can take an hour.
I'm not going to take an hour. I can give you a couple details that I just off the top of my head about how the Hanford-Armona Road will be improved. So the improvement will happen to the south. So there'll be new curb and gutter. If CART wants one, there'll be a bus stop built for a future bus stop. There'll be space for a bike lane. There'll be two travel lanes going east, and then the single westbound lane will remain going west. There'll be a deceleration lane outside of those two travel lanes for people that are turning off of Hanford-Armona Road and going into the apartment complex to make a right turn. So as they slow down going to the right, there'll be a special place for them to slow down. And at the intersection of Highway 41 and Hanford-Armona Road, there will be dedicated left and right turns, whereas right now I think it's a combined through right or through left. I can't remember exactly. But so that intersection, or at least that leg of the intersection, will be widened so that there will be the traffic will need to pick a lane for when it decides it's going to go left or right or straight.
Per the study, did it still show that it was going to be the existing speed limit, or is it suggested speed limit decrease?
The traffic study doesn't look at speeds, but that is always something that the city can do. They can do a speed study after the project is built, and if the warrants show that the speed limit should be reduced, then
now the north part of that Hanford or Ramona is owned by county, correct? You split it down, I think, because I think
Yes.
the north part of that is owned
Yes.
by Kings County.
And that's why
And
we're
the
only-
south portion of HA there is owned by city.
Which is true, and since there's the gas company is on the north
Mhm,
side.
right.
So we were speculating as staff that probably the only way for the north side of the street to get built would need to be a city project, because there probably won't be a developer developing the north side.
Right,
So
unless
when-
unless the county
Yeah.
will come in and do something maybe.
Sure. The ultimate right-of-way for Hanford-Amona Road would include a median. So that would likely happen when the commercial portion was built.
Okay, so a median would be coming in.
It would be coming in with the commercial portion, which we don't know when that's gonna happen.
With the light.
Yeah.
With the light, traffic light.
And Mr. Brandt, correct me if I'm wrong, but if the city chooses to do a speed study, and Chief Smith, you might help me on this, if the current posted speed limit is 35 miles an hour and 85% of the vehicles traveling on that road is 50, then aren't we obligated to raise the speed limit to the 85th percentile?
That's my understanding.
So generally, you go with the 85th percentile, but you still, as a governing board, have the authority to lower the speed limit for safety considerations.
Okay.
Normally, it's in areas where there's schools present, there's proximity to a school, et cetera, but hopefully it won't be possible.
Okay, just asking.
So as a council, we can decrease that speed limit as long as we have a consensus and a majority.
You can
We
reduce it.
can decrease the speed limit.
You can deviate from the traffic study, but unless there are factors that are not necessarily evident or not that obvious, if we reduce it, the speed limit's unenforceable. Because the study says it's this X at 85th percentile. We can't enforce it.
That's the existing study. We would have to come back in and, like the city, we'd have to create a new study. And we have a lot of other factors in there too.
And that would be a warrant. If you wanted to do that, you'd want to do that warrant study after the project was
Gotcha.
built.
Yeah, because now you have more demand.
And that's why as staff, we use the information that's available to us, and now the traffic studies show that it's not a major impact. So
I read
don't have a crystal ball, but we go with what current rules and regulations have us do to get projects put forth to the public.
Got it.
So I have a question. It was stated that the project, or our general plan has the interchange being at 2040, and that would bring us to an A grade of service. What would it take to have that be implemented initially, so that a lot of the questions about the safety concerns by actually keeping that footprint, we'll just do it first? Just like, what could we do to help that along, basically, in the first phase?
You mean to accelerate the construction of the interchange? Is that what you're asking?
Can we have the developer help with that in some way?
Well, the developer would be paying part of they're paying impact fees for traffic. So the city could use some of that money to contribute to an interchange, but that is not going to be nearly enough to actually build the interchange. So you can't require the developer to pay more than their fair share toward the interchange.
Okay. Okay, then the next question would be then, what would the developer be willing to invest in, for example, lighted traffic signs or lighted street lights? Because I think the biggest concern is that people are not going to wait their turn, and that traffic is only going to get more and more congested. And the biggest concern I think we're hearing is, how do we enforce people to slow down? And if we can't do it through, say changing the speed limit, the only other viable solution really is a lighted traffic light. And can we ask the developer to invest in that? How much would a developer be willing to invest in a lighted traffic sign then?
That I don't know. What I can say is the requirements that we are putting on it in terms of widening the road, adding the curb and gutter, improving the leg at the intersection with Hanford and Winter Road. That's going to include pulling back the signal. So they are making a significant investment into that stretch of road already.
Do you think they would step, I mean, just a, I don't know, because the signal's not going into phase 3, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Is there any, I mean, thoughts about trying to put the signal in at an earlier phase?
I don't know specifically. All I can say generally is if you put in a signal too soon, now you're slowing traffic down.
I know.
So, and that makes traffic worse. I know a lot of times people think that that's going to make traffic better. It just means you're stopped at a stoplight that much longer.
Part of it is
one of the, and again, traffic involves a lot of estimation and speculation. One of the things that happens right now, that road's still kind of built at a county standard it's a wide lane with no curb and gutter. Sometimes when you narrow the lanes and you put in curb and gutter, that slows people down.
It does. That's softening of the traffic. That's where I was getting at earlier. Yeah.
Again, speculation. You can speculate a lot on traffic.
Right.
I'd just like to add that this is something that we've been talking about for the 4 years I've been up here, and this is something that has been a goal of ours. We want a project like this. We want a developer like this to come in, and now that we have somebody willing to invest in our community to better it, so we can keep people here rather than have that, economic leakage that goes to Hanford so often. That we have something here, more places for people to live. What a sweet spot for a shop or a store for the 41 traffic. And I think as far as the safety issue, I think that they've covered the safety issue. I think that the traffic studies are something that we need to consider, because this is serious stuff that developers do that we're not professionals at, but they are. So I'm feeling pretty comfortable with how that looks, as long as we can protect the county and Ms. King's interest in the potential 41 interchange there. I think that's important, because when that comes, we don't want to have to tear something down. It'd be easier to take down a fence. So just because we've been talking about this for so long, I'm in favor of this project. As long as the safety factors are there, which I believe they are, I'm kind of excited about it finally.
Any other comment?
I just think there's too many questions about the safety, and until those questions are addressed and our community feels comfortable with that, and right now I'm hearing that they are not. I want to see that development. I want to see growth, but we have to make sure that it's safe. And right now we have concerns coming from the community where they don't feel those concerns are being addressed at this time. And I don't think until those concerns are addressed, I can feel comfortable moving forward.
I have a question for City Attorney. I know this went through the Planning Commission. They had a public hearing. It's here. It's a public hearing. What other avenues do we have? I mean, can we hold it over for further discussion, for more discussion? What is our options? Is there? I mean, because my thing is if the public's got more questions on this. Or until maybe, because I know the Planning Commission probably had a study session on this. I don't know if at this point in time we can do some kind of modified study, just informational type of thing, to where people can get more information on it. Maybe the people's already got enough information; they've already made their decision. I don't know.
Council, you've held the public hearing. You've opened and closed it. Council certainly has the option to table the item if they don't want to make a decision tonight. You can approve, not approve. I mean, You have the options available to you. I don't know that I'd recommend reopening a public hearing, but that is council's option, I suppose.
And this is going to have another reading, right?
No, they were done.
No, council, what you have in front of you to approve is a zone change amendment, which, and the site plan review. There is an ordinance, you also have the mitigated negative deck, sorry.
Got it.
I was looking at the wrong one. You have a resolution and an ordinance. The ordinance would come back, but nothing else.
Got it. Thank you.
I just think that the entering Hanford Armona Road is going to be actually as safe or safer as being on Apricot turning westbound on Hanford Armona Road or 19th. It's going to be as safe, and there will be a little more traffic, but I think it'll be spread out. I think the safety concerns are not so overpowering that we shouldn't pass this and get this project moving so we can have some more development in the city that we've been so direly needing for many years. With that, I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4-1 as proposed.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Okay, there's a motion by Mr. Chedister and a second by Mr. Brown. Mr. Chedister.
Aye.
Mr. Brown.
Aye.
Ms. Blair.
No.
Mr. Neal.
No.
And I vote aye. Passed. Okay, we will move to item 4-2. This is consideration of mitigated negative declaration and disposition and development agreement between the City of Lemoore with KKAL LP, a request by the City of Lemoore and KKAL LP for the adoption of the mitigated negative declaration and approval of the disposition and development agreement between the City of Lemoore and KKAL LP for development of approximately 83.5 acres located on the northeast corner of State Route 41 and Idaho Avenue. APN 024-051-031. Resolution is 2018-47 and the ordinance is 2018-09. Mr. Brandt.
Thank you again, Steve Brandt, City Planner. This site is shown here on the map where the triangle is located. It is north of Idaho Avenue and south of the new Edison facility. And it is a city-owned property. The site had dirt taken out, I'm told, for construction of Highway 41 many years ago. So it's a site that's been difficult to develop because of that, the need for regrading and things like that. So the city has been offering it for sale. As you know, this site has been before you a number of times with various concepts and ideas. And the city staff has been working most recently with KKAL LLP to put together a development agreement that would transfer the property to the developer in phases so that the developer could bring in industrial projects onto the site. So what's before you is the consideration of the mitigated negative declaration, which was prepared in accordance with CEQA, and the disposition and development agreement, or DDA, which sets up the parameters for how the site would develop. And it's basically a contract between the city and the developer. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the mitigated negative declaration, and then the city manager may want to add some more details about the development agreement. So the mitigated negative declaration was prepared. We did an initial study. We did a biological study on the site because there had been reports of endangered species south of the city, and since it's on the south side of the city, we did a biological study. We didn't find anything on the site. We did find some protected plants adjacent to the site, and so there's mitigation to put up fencing during construction, probably something that would have been done anyways to protect adjacent site. Also, again, the Rancheria tribe requested consultation and is requesting that they work with the developer to monitor the site during grading in case anything is found on the site. So that is also a mitigation measure. So the mitigation, or the mitigated negative declaration is ready for you to adopt by resolution, and then the ordinance would be for the development agreement, which Nathan may want to talk a little bit more about the development agreement.
Okay, thanks, Steve. So good evening again, Mayor and council members. So the proposed DDA would allow KKL LP to purchase this property for $10. This property was previously pitched to another developer out of the San Diego area for $1 for all retail and could not generate enough interest to make that project go. So that agreement has gone to the wayside. Not a lot of interest in this property. As Steve mentioned, it had been undermined. So there's about a 2-foot elevation from the north to the south in some areas where dirt was excavated out. So the development agreement as it sits would actually develop manufacturing, distribution, and warehouse centers. It's actually, the whole thing is zoned light industrial. So I do have a flyer here. There's some available at the city clerk on how we've kind of been pitching it, because there's a lot of options being it zoned light industrial that can be used. So feel free to pick one up and we'll post that to our website. There's a potential creation of approximately 1,300 jobs depending on what actually goes in there. That would be using formulas for different market criteria. But again, we're still marketing this property. We don't know exactly what's going to go on it. So the benefit for us would be to increase the property tax base and provide secondary economic benefits to the city of Lemoore. Lemoore would be responsible for construction, or putting some necessary infrastructure in, including curb gutters, sewer, water, storm drain, curb gutters. And then once we complete our infrastructure requirements as lined out in the DDA, then that would start the clock for Mr. Cashin and KKL LP to develop roughly 12 acres every 2 years, or significantly develop 12 acres every 2 years. So that's where we're at tonight. This would complete the industrial zone south of town. We would actually tie the roadways in from the existing PG&E site where it dead ends. We would connect the road down, turn it to the east, and put it into, is there a better picture? Yeah, so if you look on the dog leg there, on the, yeah, right there. So we would tie that into 19th Avenue. The road would come and loop all the way up to the north to the existing industrial park. We have easements already in place on that property that's not part of this 80 acres. And then we would tie in somewhere to Idaho to the south, taken into effect. Idaho's already very wide, so there's turn lanes there, and there's plenty of accumulation for trucks and traffic down there. So you would have basically 3 ways into this property at full build out.
I have a question over something you just said, and I'll ask the city attorney to stop me if I say anything. I'll slow. The San Diego developer, that was Mr. Voorhees, correct?
No, that was Bill Stone.
Okay.
I believe.
So
yeah.
that was a
different developer.
Totally not gonna done with my question then.
And then the vegetation that Mr. Brandt was talking about is south of that little dog leg right there. There's, I believe, it's 12. Is that 12 acres right there? There's a 12-acre parcel there that has some vegetation on it that grows wild that we'd have to protect during the construction of the road.
The other question I had, I noted you said something about speaking with the Rancheria, and can you please tell me what you decided upon, or what was negotiated with that?
Yeah, what we provided notice to the Rancheria of the proposed project, and their response was that they would like to consult with the with the developer on coming to an agreement on how they could be on site during construction or the grading portion of construction to monitor the site in case something is discovered during grading. So the city's responsibility is to put the requirement upon the developer to work with the rancheria to come to an agreement on how to do that. We're not responsible for monitoring, we're just responsible for getting the two groups together.
Well, I'd like to please follow up with that and say that I think it's absolutely essential that they are allowed to, because the importance is, of course, if an artifact is found or something that is of significance culturally, they would want immediately to be able to have access to something that belongs to tribal ancestry. So I think that's the most respectful response would be to absolutely include them.
Yes, so that is one of the mitigations in the mitigated negative declaration that was before you.
Okay. And then the last question, since nobody else is mentioning it, the language that we discussed before in closed session, do we ask now to add that or not? I don't want to say anything, so that's why I'm like, can we add that now?
This is James Sanchez with Lozano Smith. He's been working with us on this development agreement.
Thank you, City Manager. And just, Council, to walk you through very quickly, the issue that was raised deals with the liability exposure that the city will face in the event that the city breaches the agreement. We have proposed language to the developer that would basically give the developer the sole remedy of forcing the city to comply, which is called specific performance. There would be no other damages that the city would face under that circumstance. The developer to date has said that they would not agree to that provision. We did offer a second alternative to talk about limiting the city's liability at a cap, and that cap is based upon the improvements, the estimated cost of the improvements, which we believe are just above $4 million currently. The developer has said that they would agree to that language if council was inclined to condition the approval of the agreement tonight with that language.
Any questions?
Public comment?
Yeah, public comment? Okay, at this time, we'll open a public hearing for this item. Is there anyone that wishes
Mayor,
to speak?
before you do that, if I might, there is
Okay.
one other clarification, just for the record. The ordinance that you have in your packet tonight approving the agreement actually referenced the original Planning Commission meeting, which was September 10th. The meeting actually continued the approval to the next Planning Commission meeting, which was October the 8th. And that should be the correct date under ordinance, and we can change the ordinance assuming you adopt it tonight.
All right, thank you. Okay, now we'll open the public hearing.
Connie Wolashin. So I read the first line and it said that the city is going to sell this property to KKAL-LP for $10. And then we're supposed to buy or pay for all of the roads and stuff like that also? And this is gonna cost us how much? Cost the city how much? $4 million?
4 million, yes. Those aren't hard numbers yet because we haven't engineered it, but those are estimates at this point.
Am I missing something here? They're
No.
paying $10 for 83 acres, and then the city is going to have to be on the hook for $4 million?
And then the developer will probably be putting in somewhere in the range of another $70 million worth of buildings and infrastructure to bring people to our town.
Is that in the contract?
Yes.
Is it in writing?
Yes.
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 Like I said, Ms. Wolashin, there is not a lot of action on this property at all. Honestly, we can't give it away. We've been trying for multiple years, and this is how you get developers to come into your town. You have to offer incentives, or you don't get them. So this is something that we've discussed. We've had an option agreement on the table already. This isn't the first time it's ever come up. So.
Well, if, you know, personally, if I had known it was that cheap, I've got $20 in I'll give you $20 for it, and then I'll start a GoFundMe page. You know, I just.
Yep, exactly.
Double their money.
No, I'll
There's
do
a little
that, then the city
condition.
will give me a forgivable loan.
It's basically worthless just sitting there, though. That's the point. It's worthless without our investment and the investment of the developer too. That's the way business is done. We have to give them incentives to come here. I mean, it's about scale.
So is it in writing what we're going to get for that $4 million? Is there a guarantee, and do we know what businesses and what they are going to bring, or are we speculating?
So it's not a guarantee what'll go in there, but the developer is obligated to bring something in that meets the zoning of light industrial at the clip of 12 acres every 2 years.
And
Significant build out, yes. And if he doesn't, then the right of revision happens, and then the city would take back lands if they don't meet their requirement.
Okay, and I understand, but please don't talk down to us, the general public. We understand what it takes to run a business.
Mm-hmm.
We know what has to be done, and we know that these things need to happen. However, there's been lots of mistakes that this city council has made, and it's time that you get really smart at the decisions that you make, because we're really tired of cleaning up the mess.
Any other comment?
Tom Reed, 1060 Parr Avenue, Lemoore. My concern again is that $4 million that, or whatever the number would tend to be for the improvements, is the developer going to issue some sort of bond on that? Because I know things happen, unforeseen. The company could have some failures elsewhere, their funds dry up, they can't develop it. Meanwhile, we put out $4 million or whatever, and do we have a bond that would reimburse the city for that amount? Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
James.
Council, the way the agreement is structured, the developer does have obligations to build out. We described the period of time, 6 different phases of build out over a 2-year period for each phase, up to a 14-year time frame. If they don't, we have the ability to go back in and revest the property or retake the property. At that stage, what you will have is an improved property that you then can look at shovel-ready opportunities to go forward with development. In terms of a bond, there hasn't been any discussion about the bond. That's not something that typically we would see on the city improvement side. And so we did not include that in our negotiations.
Okay.
Can somebody else come in?
I'm sorry.
Still public comment.
Apologize.
Good evening, Council. My name is Mike Slater with the law firm of Powell Slater. I represent the developer. We've been working with City Manager Mr. Sanchez for close to a year now on this, and I think we have a very good agreement. A couple things, excuse me, that have been pointed out tonight. This is really a partnership between the city and the developer. The city is basically putting up the property and the investment, but the developer is going to come in with an obligation to hit certain targets on a every 2-year basis, and if they don't, the city has the protection of getting the land back. So there's incentive for our client to build this out. There's incentive for the city to invest in this opportunity to revitalize an otherwise unusable piece of property. There's been made mention recently, as of, I think it was late last week, I got an email from Mr. Sanchez wanting to add some language regarding liability for the city in the event the city defaults on this agreement. And as was mentioned earlier, it was a limit on liability or no liability to the city in the event of a city breach. Our only remedy would be to specifically enforce the agreement or walk from our investment. We push back on that because here's the reason. This is a partnership of sorts. We have skin in the game, you have skin in the game. We have an obligation to indemnify you. If we have cause any harm to you, the city should have some skin in the game as well. And that's why we were agreeable, and Mr. Sanchez recommended that, yes, if the city does breach the agreement somehow, because the developer is going to be out some sum of money at that point, that we have the right to recover that up to a cap, and that cap is the amount of the investment that the city would put in. I think that's really fair given the circumstances that we're dealing with. This is not a typical development agreement where the developer comes to the city and wants to develop a piece of property that it owns. This is more of a partnership relationship where both sides have some skin in the game. And so I encourage you, if you're going to modify the agreement in any way that we've already worked on for a year and that has gone to the Planning Commission, that you do it with a cap in terms of liability and not prohibiting any monetary liability against the city. We've got the developer here and our team. If you have any questions, we're available. Thank you very much and appreciate your time. I appreciate the time of Nathan and Jim in working through all of this. Thank you very much.
Any other public comment? I would like to hear from the developer. Just let us know about yourself, who you are, what other projects you've done, just to kind of let the public know. I think they have no idea who you are. I mean, I've heard of you and I've talked to you and stuff.
Yeah,
so.
my name's John Cashin. I'm the representative of KKAL Development. My partners are Lee Collegian, myself, Eddie Arkelian, and Greg Lawrence, all from Fresno. 3 of those partners are River Park partners that develop River Park properties up in Fresno. I've done a bunch of industrial deals up in West Sacramento. I'm working on some stuff in Fresno now. We've done a lot of retail. So that's kind of the background of KKL in short.
Why are you so interested in that property?
In Lemoore?
Yes.
If you guys came to us looking for an alternative, I thought industrial was a good solution. It's very active right now, and Lemoore's looking for business, and I think it's a good partnership. That's why we stepped to the plate.
Okay.
Yes.
If I may, you said you're down River Park. Are you connected any way with Mr. Sal? Sal
Gonzalez?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he works for my dad's firm.
Okay,
yes,
good man. I was wondering, what's the time frame that you guys seem like you guys are going to be putting things in order over there?
As soon as we get approval, hopefully, my marketing team will move right away and we can start marketing the ground and hopefully get some buildings going and some sales and stuff like that.
What kind of marketing? What kind of buildings you're looking for?
Well,
Is it franchises? What does it consist of?
The market, no. I mean, we would like to get some corporate people in town here.
Okay.
So that's the goal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other
questions?
I have a question.
Yes.
I had requested that a local labor organization, Carpenters, had been contacted just so that there was some just conversation, just out of respect, and I never heard any follow-up from that, so.
I have not contacted them yet until I get approval of a project, and then I'll contact. But until I have a project approved, there's no reason to talk to anybody.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Just for clarity though, if it is approved, you will contact them, correct?
Correct.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else for public comment? No? Okay. Close the public hearing. Any discussion, council?
Well, I think if we are going to discuss this any further, if there's even a potential for approving it, the potential liability, the language of the cap that was added, that our attorneys have taken a look at and have kind of analyzed, and that would help at least limit potential liability for the city at a particular cap, which we know we already are willing to invest in anyway, because right now the land is useless as it is now. I think that that language should be added if we do approve. That's all.
You're talking about the, if I make them, you're talking about the language that they've already said that they would, the 4 million cap.
Correct.
Yeah, I think to clarify, and I do agree with you, that there's an alternative to have that $4 million liability cap, and that would be our safeguard, I believe. And this is another point, just like the item 4-1, is we've been wanting to get some investors and developers into our city, and we have an opportunity here. And yeah, it's $10, but it's, in the long run, I tell you what, this would be something that we'd be glad that we did when we look back at it, say 6-10 years from now. It's just something that the land is useless to us. It's not worth anything. If you've seen it, it's got holes in it. It's been dug out and it's white. And this is an opportunity where we can partner with a good developer that's local. It's not like we're working with someone from LA or San Diego.
Right.
So we've got some big positives here, and I just think that this is something that we ought to consider. This is an opportunity to get developers here that we've been waiting for so long. So I think as long as we do change the correct date on the ordinance and do some of those other things, but then put the cap on the $4 million liability, that's what I'm in favor of. If there's any other comments.
Yes, I just want to say, I've seen their work. If you're talking about River Park, you guys absolutely do superb work, and I want to get some things here. I mean, I'm tired of kicking the can down the road. Whatever we need to assist you guys, I'm ready to make a motion, or however you guys want to do this.
I just think it's fairly obvious what we need to do. We've been talking about this forever, and here's our chance. I mean, I hear people all the time say we're anti-growth. Lemoore's anti-growth. We just voted 3-2 on something that showed 2/5 of our council is anti-growth. So, I mean, here's an opportunity on something that seems like a really good deal. That land is just sitting there. It's alkali. I mean, there's nothing there. There's really, I mean, how long have we had that property? How long has it been sitting there? I mean,
A long time.
so we've got
I've been
some
around
legitimate developers here. They're proven. And obviously they know what they're doing. They've got some ideas for that property, and I think we should be thankful that they're here. And we take some safeguards to put them in there, what we're talking about, and we make a statement that we aren't anti-growth, that we are pro-business.
I'm just confused as to whether you're trying to help us get on board with your idea or just insult us, because that's not going to help the situation.
Well, that's neither here nor there. So what do we think? Let's vote on this thing.
I'd like to also add that we have that protection by partnering with them, that if something does go haywire, we can get our property back and at an improved property. So I think that it's something that I'd like to make a motion to approve item 4-2, but to add putting a liability cap for the city at $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
I second.
Okay, so we got that? We got that motion? Okay, so there's a motion by Mr. Chedister and a second by Mr. Neal. Mr. Chedister?
Aye.
Mr. Neal?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
No.
I vote aye. Okay, let's move on to the next one. Item 5-1, this is report and recommendation, award contract for geotechnical engineering services for athletic fields for the Lemoore Youth Sports Complex. Thanks, John. See ya.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. Yes, this is an award for geotech engineering services for athletic field lights for the youth sports complex, specifically the softball fields. What we're asking for are soil samples so we can determine what the cost of lights would be out at that complex. This would be funded through park impact fees. The entire project, we would bring this back at a later date, would be funded by park impact fees and not general fund dollars. It's just soil samples, so we can give these soil samples to Musco Engineering so they can give us an estimate on how much lights would cost. Any questions?
Sounds excellent.
Any questions? No? So is there any public comment? Nope. Okay, we'll bring it back to council.
Make a motion to approve 5-1 as written.
I'll second.
Okay, so there's a motion to approve 5-1 by Mr. Brown and a second by Ms. Blair. Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Chittister?
Aye.
Mr. Neal?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Thank you. 5-2, report and recommendation, budget amendment agreement with IG Services for a refuse rate study. Mr. Rivera.
Good evening. What I have before you is a request to approve a budget amendment to allow IG Services to conduct a refuse impact fee study. The last study that was done was back in 2009. Since then, many state laws have required us to perform many more tasks. AB 1826, which goes into effect January 1st, 2019, requires businesses that generate more than 4 cubic yards or more of commercial solid waste per week to arrange for organic waste recycling. So we just would like to study to see where we're at. It doesn't mean that we will increase, fees, but I think we actually need to make the effort to do the study. So, anyway, do you have any questions?
Correction, it's not impact fees, it's actually the rate study to provide the services of refuse collection.
Okay, and this is for the study itself, correct?
Correct, yes.
Is there any questions? Is there any public comment? No? Okay, bring it back to council again.
I'll make a motion to approve item 5-2 as written.
Second. Go ahead.
Okay, so
Dave Brown.
there's a motion by Ms. Blair and a second by Mr. Brown. Ms. Blair?
Aye.
Mr. Brown?
Aye.
Mr. Chittister?
Aye.
Mr. Neal?
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion's passed. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we will move on to city council reports and requests. Ms. Blair?
Nothing to report out today. Thank you.
Mr. Brown?
Yeah, I have one thing. Today I got quite a few emails concerning some comments that was made on Councilmember Blair's Facebook post. I just want to say just because someone says it is, it doesn't mean it's true. I request to add another request to censor Holly Blair on our next meeting's agenda for the recent claims that Holly Blair made on political podcast, again in her capacity as Lemoore councilwoman, again potentially putting our city at risk for liability and lawsuits as she defames and slanders our city's upstanding employees and citizens. If there was any merit, I would ask that any citizen using due diligence and due process request a grand jury investigation of these accusations. My thing is I've asked you from day one to show me proof. I'm still waiting, okay? Again, slander statements made without proof, merit, or any evidence concerning upstanding employees and citizens of Lemoore are both disgraceful, dishonorable, and truly sad. Councilwoman Blair's ability to not focus on the work of the city and to sidetrack this council, bringing attention to yourself based upon unfounded allegations of Lemoore, again, upstanding employees' lack of respect for protocol, and by not following the rules of her position, by also bringing personal matters to this public forum, are truly unprofessional, divisive, and conduct unbecoming a councilwoman. I'm asking again, I asked for the censor before. I'm asking for another. I'm asking for consensus of council to put on the next agenda. I don't like doing this, people. I'm just letting you know right now. But this is the only thing I can do. This is the only thing I can do. The comments that's being made is almost like Jerry Springer, and bring some proof. I mean, if you got, I'm going to leave it at that. That's what I'm asking for, council. I'm asking for consensus. Bring it back. Let's discuss it some more. If the next council meeting, what we're gonna do. Something's gonna have to, it's tearing our city apart. It's tearing our city apart, and somebody's having fun with it. Okay? You're enjoying it. Okay? This is not a game. Grow up.
Do we have a consensus on that?
I consent, yes, absolutely.
Mr. Neal?
I think what's going on is, I would say I'm tired of all the bickering, all the complaining. It's time to move on. And yes, I don't uphold that at all. But I'm not going to sit back and censor and keep censoring if nothing's going to be done. I'm just so fed up. It's time for all of us to grow up. Don't be calling people names behind the dais as well. I don't care if we do look like Jerry Springer. I'm not going to call nobody, disrespect nobody behind this dais. I serve the community. My name is not Eddie. My name is Lemoore when I'm out behind this dais, and I'm going to conduct myself as the city, call myself the community. I'm not looking at myself as Eddie. I'm looking at myself as the community. It's time we all look like Jerry Springer. When the crowd comes in, the crowd can't even be conducted as grown folks because we got a lynch mob up here. You know, yes, it's not right. But at the same time, it's not right for us to antagonize. The Bible says, answer a fool according to his folly. If we're gonna still keep answering a person, if they acting foolish, we gotta do it the right way. There's laws. There's things in place. If we have to go, I don't care if we have to go to the League of Cities to find something out. We're not going to get behind that podium or behind this podium and just lash out because our emotions are in the way. You understand what I'm trying to say? We don't sit back and call ourselves adults. Sometimes you have to ignore things and go to higher levels. When they go low, what they say, we go high. So we have to go low, we have to go high in this situation. Quit calling names. Don't respond to somebody that is not being ethical. It's time for us to go to higher levels. We have to go to Sacramento. Whatever we have to do, let's do it. But let's not do it in a city council meeting. I'm tired of us looking like jokes here. I'm talking about all of us. If we're going to do something, let's do it, and we're going to have a meeting. Let's do it. Let's have something where we're going to have it in place. We have to have what you call a strategic plan. We got to have a strategy in how to keep this under control. If we're not having it under control in that way, it makes the city of Lemoore looks bad on both sides. If she's acting foolish, or if I'm acting foolish, and you guys are acting foolish, you guys are responding to my foolishness, how does that make the city look? Okay, so all I'm saying is it's time for us to change. Turn the game. Turn the page. And so that's where I'm at right now. I'm not going to be censoring and doing this and getting hand claps and doing this for what? I'm tired. If we got to go to another level, let's go to another level. Another level is what? If we have to go and get a lawyer to protect us as a council, we would do it. You see, the lawyer, I'm asking you, what do we do? What do we do? You're our lawyer. We pay you for doing your job, so you have to come on board now. I'm not asking the people. I'm not asking this council. It's been going on enough is enough. So I'm asking you, please see if you can put something in place. I'm tired, and I'm tired of being on the council when we have to get out our character. We have to bang our fist on the podium and say, this is what we do. No, we don't need that. We're here to serve the people. Let's serve the people, guys. Please. Thank you.
So I heard that podcast too, and it was directly related to comments of our city employees. Our police department our leadership in our police department. We have to protect them. And it's pretty obvious what we have to do. We've done it already. We'll have to do it again. I don't know if it's going to do any good, but I don't see any other way. I think we have to make a statement. We have to stand up for our city employees. That's all this is. It's plain and simple. I don't see us pounding our fists. We're just following the protocols that are made available to us. So I would definitely say let's bring it back again for another look.
Okay.
Another censor discussion.
Ray.
Okay.
I would like comments.
Yes.
Well, I might tell you that I didn't know that the next meeting was canceled, and with the election, this is my last night on the dais. And I would like to say that it all started when I met Janie and said, "How do I do this?" back in June of 14. She goes, "You only need 30 signatures," or something like that. So, anyway, it's been a good run, and I appreciate everybody. I've really enjoyed working with the staff. City of Lemoore is great. There's a few issues going on, and I won't miss that. But I hope it all works out well for you guys. But I have a business meeting, the first meeting in December, so I will not be here. But I wish you all well. I thank you for everything. I learned a lot, and I've made some good friends. So I wish you all well.
Is that it? Mr. Neal.
I tell you, all I have to say is I appreciate my town. I appreciate being here, and I want to keep serving our community the best way we know how. And I'm just letting you guys all know that we have to come together. We have to come together in these last times. I mean, we're in some crucial times right now. As long as we keep bickering with each other, nothing's going to get done. Nothing at all. So I'm just saying, once we get where we're together, because we're getting new people on board, it's going to be okay. Just be patient with us. We got to be patient. I love this town. God bless.
No comment. Meeting adjourned.